So just to kind of reiterate what we're doing today, typically I do office hours every month. It's just my way of connecting with all of you, answering any questions you have, and just giving my perspective on things and what I see happening, what I'm hearing from the coaches as far as any challenge or any issues. Or in this case today, we'll certainly have time to answer questions, but I also wanted to spend a few moments, or if not longer than a few moments, just addressing some of the, oh, how should I say it, anxiety that might be happening in our world right now. It's affecting people in different ways. Some people are like, whatever, I'm focusing on my thing and my business and family and stuff. And other people are much more sensitive to the things that are happening and perhaps much more directly affected to what's going on. I know for me in the Washington, D.C. area, it is certainly something that is affecting, people that I know, actually neighbors that I know that have lost their jobs and really have impacted their lives. So I just wanted to just have kind of an open, honest, robust conversation. Just sharing how people might be feeling right now, just to acknowledge what's going on with you, and just kind of take it from there. I do want to hear from our coaches and how they're handling things. Again, everybody's handling this differently. If it's not really affecting you, or if you're not putting a lot of energy, if you kind of cut off social media, then that's cool. But for other people, as we know, when emotion is high, intelligence is low. That's just how we're wired. When you have a lot of emotion, you do things and say things that maybe later you regret. And when you're a business owner, that can be a very expensive reaction. And one of the things that we teach here and we share with you and encourage to get control over is our emotional intelligence and being less reactive to things and choosing how we respond. Because as owners, how we show up just in ourselves, how we show up to our families, how we show up to our staff. Just me, I'm the only person that ever said stupid shit to my staff that later came back and called me out on it. And I created a whole mess of confusion in my business. Carol, what have you ever done?
Um, so when I get anxious about things, I tend to want to hunker down and I switch into micromanagement role. And yesterday, my front desk lead looked at me and she said, "Carol, we do know how to do our job. You go do yours." And she just said it like that. And
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, you are so right. I have no business being here." And it was awesome. Like, it's going to be fine. But I recognize that in myself. That's a compensation. That's how I manage things. And it doesn't work well, but I love that I have a good enough relationship with her that she has no problem calling me on it.
I can relate to that. Um, I think sometimes, unless you've created that culture, because what your staff just did to you is a culture, right? Your culture is, we get to lovingly and honestly call people out if they're acting outside of our values and what we believe. So I guess I want to open it up to anybody at this point and to share, is anything happening right now heightening your anxiety level? And if so, how is it showing up? I don't want to get into the politics of things. I don't want to get into, this or that. Like, that's not the point of this call. I want to get into how that's affecting you and how you are showing up to your team, to your family, and perhaps discuss, if it's not healthy, better ways to deal with the anxiety, the uncertainty, the physical stress, the mental stress that's happening. Because there's going to be two things that happen moving forward with all the uncertainty. One, there is going to be people that come out of this, business owners that come out of this better. Their business is going to be better. Their organization, their ideas are going to be better after this dust settles at some point. And there's other people that are going to be a hell of a lot worse. And they're going to be worse primarily because how they made decisions and reacted instead of responding to what's going on and not creating borders and protections around the most important thing we all have, which is how we think about things, how we handle things, how we process the problems that we have. So I'd love to get some input and just open up this forum as I let more people in.
I have something. It's not, I mean, it's not, it's sort of related to the greater world, but for
Sure.
us, it's been that a number of our therapists have decided to move on, like geographically, job-wise. We've just had a lot of transition in the past 6 months. And we have had around 15 therapists basically all the time, but now we're down probably to 11 with some transition in there of, I think we've lost probably 6 therapists in the past 6 months. And gained one one increase that's been good, but it just feels like people think the job market is shaky or movable or a good time to switch. And I just think that is impacting who we get, what's out there right now, and feels a little less stable and predictable than it was.
So are they leaving because of what's happening out in the world? Is that are they
Yeah,
reacting to
one
that,
moved
or are
to
they leaving
Germany.
because of other reasons?
Yeah, one moved to Germany, wanted to leave the country. One decided that being a stay-at-home mom would be a good isolation, place to be. Um, one of them was sick, just a number of different things, but it does seem like a factor in all of it is one of them decided to work for a bigger company because it would be more stable. I mean, I think a lot of this is just somewhat related to the larger environment and somewhat related to other things, but it does feel like there's more instability in our employee pool at the moment than there has been.
Has anybody else experienced that, what Sahana's experiencing?
Maybe it's the San Francisco Bay Area.
Maybe it is. I can tell you from the people that I'm speaking to, I don't think that's the case. I think there certainly is a hiring and retention issue that is happening in all of our industries, whether it's PT, mental health, pediatrics, what have you. There's just less people in it because, frankly, unless you absolutely love this and don't really care that much about the money, school's just way too expensive compared to what you're going to make to come out. So then they're putting it on the employers to pay me more because I deserve it because I have a lot of bills. And that bubble is it's going to burst at some point. You just can't keep charging more and more for an education that is way too much for what we're able to pay if you're in insurance and based on third parties reimbursements of that. It's just not sustainable. So I think there certainly is, because of the cost of everything going up, just to live. And now with you know, people fear of the stock market or fear of all those other things, that their natural reaction is safety. All of our natural reaction is, Maslow's, hierarchy of needs is we will get contracted to go safe. Was anybody else experiencing that?
It hasn't come up with my team yet. I have not heard any rumblings of this yet. Now, we're community-based, so we don't have as much time together. So maybe it's on their minds. They just haven't brought it up. But it's actually really interesting that I'm not getting a taste of this. And we're in New England, in Massachusetts. So curious, like, what that's about. Or maybe it is that I'm just not around them enough to have it brought up.
Look, I don't think any of you reached out to me with, oh my God, Jamey, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And none of you did. But I know it's there because it's everywhere. And I could wait until that happens, or I can see the signs and understand that we're human beings and we walk around with a computer on our hands 24/7 giving us the constant stuff that is happening. And then we get to see every person we know and don't know comment on that, and then people comment on that. And it's happening every second of the day. And we're supposed to then live our life and take care of other people. The amount of energy that takes to do that is incredible. The amount of energy it takes to actually show up and help other people, whether you're physically still in patient care or you're supporting your team, that is a ton of energy, the responsibilities. You add this on top of it, it is a lot. Whether or not they are telling you, it's a lot. I chose, and I spoke with my coaches about this, and we all agreed, get out in front of it and give this place, give this forum a chance for people to, at the very least, if you don't even say anything, at least we're not pretending it's not there. But it affects everybody different. I would say most of the people, it may not have a direct effect right now in your business. And a lot of times those decisions are also, I get more alone.
I appreciate what you were saying. When I was listening to some of the other owners, one of the things that struck me is that one of my therapists, her husband is working for the federal government, so it affects her on a personal level. And then yesterday, when talking to my staff, what we're starting to see is that we're having families saying, we can no longer afford our copays, we can no longer afford to come in, we can no longer afford to bring our child because my husband's been furloughed, or we lost our jobs, or different things. So for the first time, I think we're starting to see that trickle into my clinic itself. And I just didn't know if anyone else is also experiencing those.
Anybody else experiencing that yet? Heather?
We saw a little bit of that last week where, generally speaking, we don't see hesitancy about co-insurance and co-pays and things like that. And last week we had a higher percentage of people who were sort of shying away from that, I think, because of the uncertainty.
So this is what we're facing right now. We're not facing the specific stuff. Please don't get caught up into that crazy conversation. We're facing the uncertainty of how people respond in these situations. We all can remember COVID and the pandemic. Everyone responded differently. There were certain people that I worked with that were in this group that came out of COVID on fire, that have created, some of them still in this group, that have created amazing businesses. And there's others that still say, I haven't fully recovered. What's the difference? Is it the location, their industry, the type of practice they have? I would say no. That's very, very small. It's them. It's how they dealt with it, what they did. And that's the same thing that's happening here. You understand what's happening.